And now, live from the Macon studios of News Talk 940 WMAC, it's Your Money.
Good morning, Middle Georgia, and welcome to Your Money. We are Randy and Sherri Goss with the Rosenberg Financial Group, and as financial advisors, the main thing that we do is provide retirement planning advice and manage our clients' investment accounts. And if you're looking for a financial advisor, please contact our office and set up your complimentary consultation. Our office number is 478-922-8100, and we have offices in Macon and Warner Robins for your convenience. To find out more about us, visit our website, retirerelax.com, where you can read a number of special reports and listen to past radio show broadcasts. And you can sign up to receive our digital feeds, which provide great information on various subjects in a short video format. We also offer free seminars to the community and civic organizations. So if you'd like to have a guest speaker, please call us and we'll get you in touch with Sherri, and y'all can figure out what you want her to talk about. And if you'd like to call into the show today, the number is 478-742-0940, or you can send me an email to randy@rfmoney.com, and we'll cover your question in a future broadcast. Good morning, Sherri.
Good morning.
How you doing?
I'm coming out of a coma.
You're a little sedate over there this morning. Yeah.
I woke up at 3:30 and realized I didn't do something that I needed to do yesterday, so I had to go to my computer and get it done because I couldn't go to sleep. And that led me to reading a book for an hour. Anyways, I'm all good.
Well, that's great. So
the news today. So Fed Chair Powell spoke again yesterday where he pushed back on the narrative that we will see aggressive rate cuts ahead. Powell said that despite a string of positive indicators in recent months regarding prices, they will be holding on to a more restrictive policy stance until they are convinced that inflation is heading solidly back to 2%.
Yeah, this came as no surprise to me. Despite all the talk, he has held the line on his thinking. He does not want to let it too soon, or we'll be right back we were a year ago. Powell is adhering to the data dependence for future decisions rather than preset course or listening to what the public wants.
So, right, and he followed up on his initial remarks stating that current levels are still well above the central bank's goal, noting that core inflation has run at a 2.5% annual rate over the past 6 months, Powell said. While the lower inflation readings of the past few months are welcome, that progress must continue if we are to reach our 2% objective. The CME Group, which is the group that publishes the Fed Watch tool, believes the Fed will start cutting rates as early as March. The Fed's next meeting is December 12th and 13th.
And despite the Fed and inflation, the S&P 500 is just 172, and the Dow 93 points away from the highs that we saw back in December 1st of 2021. And that's despite the inflation. The economy seems resilient and charges ahead.
Which is good.
Yep.
Christmas shopping, both in-store and online retail sales increased year over year, unadjusted for inflation, according to MasterCard's Spending Pulse Insights, which noted that apparel, jewelry, and restaurant categories saw considerable spikes. In-store sales jumped a little more than 1%, while e-commerce led the charge with an increase of 8.5%. Cyber Monday sales hit a record of $12.4 billion, and the
crazy.
sales for the Cyber Week, which I didn't even know was a thing, racked up a total of $38 billion in sales. We haven't exchanged gifts for years in our family,
Yep.
and man, it's a relief.
It's no stress.
I don't have to buy a gift for anybody, even you.
Hey.
No stress.
No stress. I'm expecting a gift this year, young lady.
No,
All right.
sorry.
All right, let's talk about a client scam situation. And I know I sound like I'm harping on this again, but so pardon me if I do sound like a broken record. This week, one of our clients called to let me know they were the victims of identity theft, and here's what happened. And I tell you this because they are smart people who do all the right things. They protect their investment and banking accounts. They limit Facebook invitations to friends only, and they take their outbound checks to the post office, and most of them are set up on auto bill pay. So
they're not the flippant type of person who thinks a scam could happen to them.
Well, however, while working on their computer, they received a notice that basically said, your system is infected and you should contact the support center immediately to remediate the problem. And you've probably seen these. It's a big red stop sign that pops up and a very dire message on your computer screen to make you panic and ultimately call the support hotline. And you probably already know where this is headed, but I will continue. Once the scammer, who is masquerading as a service technician, gained access to their computer, they basically downloaded everything. He could see this happening right in front of him and could not stop the person. Even if he turned off the computer and rebooted, the scammer went right back to doing the downloading everything on the hard drive. And if this happens to you, unplug the device and call an expert to assist you. Now, they're having to open new accounts at several banks, replacing credit cards, and contacting the credit bureaus.
So they learned a hard lesson. No one is safe when it comes to hackers and scammers. Microsoft, Adobe, Apple, and the IRS and others will not call you about issues with your accounts or virus protection, just to name a few. So be aware. Think before you act. As a pause may save you a whole lot of aggravation.
That's right. The client and I discussed all the aspects of protecting themselves from what could happen now that the entirety of their personally identifiable information has been stolen. One of the topics that we discussed were their tax records. A few weeks ago, I mentioned that you could go onto the IRS website and get an identity protection PIN, or IP PIN, which is a 6-digit number issued by the IRS to prevent anyone else from filing a tax return using your Social Security number or individual taxpayer identification number. The IP PIN is known only to you and the IRS and helps verify your identity when you file your electronic paper tax returns. Even if you don't have a filing requirement, an IP PIN still protects your account.
So this is a big deal, as if you don't need to file, someone could file a fake return with your information. I was thinking about this, and I have a lot of clients, because they're on Social Security only, they don't have to file a return, and so anybody could go in and file a fake return, so they need to shut it down.
And this would have helped us 20 years ago when our information was stolen from the Alpha roster on base, and our tax return was filed by somebody in New Jersey. So if you are a confirmed victim of tax-related identity theft and the IRS has resolved your tax account issues, they will mail you a CP01A notice with your new PIN each year. So you don't have to keep reapplying for this, but that PIN does change every year. You can also proactively request the IP PIN to safeguard yourself from tax-related identity theft, and here's how to get the PIN. Online, which is the fastest way to receive this 6-digit number. If you don't already have an account on irs.gov, you'll need to register and validate your identity. The tool is generally available from mid-January through mid-November, so you might not be able to get it for this tax filing season, but it's worth getting. And the other way is the alternative method is you can successfully validate your identity through an online tool, and can try filing an application for an IP PIN. Requesting in-person authorization, that's maybe the best way to do it right now if you can still get it. Remember that the IP PIN is valid for 1 year, like I said, and a new one is generated annually for your account. Use it when filing federal tax returns to avoid rejections and delays.
We need to talk to our CPA about this and see if they could automatically do this for all of our clients, for everybody.
No, each individual has to go apply for it, because you don't want anyone else in the middle of this possibly getting that PIN. Okay.
So, and don't forget to keep your IP PIN confidential. Share it only with your tax professional or when filing using tax software.
Yeah, and just one last thing. The IRS will not call you about your PIN. So if you get a call about your PIN, supposedly from the IRS, hang up.
Yeah, they don't call. Yeah. Anyway, so we have a lovely lady here this morning as a special guest. Her name is Julia Wood. So let's talk about charitable giving and the Community Foundation of Central Georgia. So, Julia, great to have you with us today. So please explain to our listeners what your role is at the Community Foundation, how the foundation works, and then we have a few questions for you.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yes.
I'm excited to be here to talk with you a little bit this morning about charitable giving and the local Community Foundation here in Central Georgia. I joined the Community Foundation about 15 years ago and serve as the Vice President of Development and Donor Services. And it's an amazing organization, charitable organization. So we are a 501c3 public charity, and we are set up as a collection of individual charitable funds that are established by individuals, families, nonprofits, businesses, and each fund helps that person or that family achieve their own charitable impact. Our foundation has been around for 30 years, and so we have about 500 different funds and people in this area who are making a difference in our community through charitable giving.
So what are the benefits of donating to the foundation versus directly to a specific charity?
Well, we hope that our donors in this area will continue to support the local charities that they love. Obviously, we're not a substitute for that.
Right.
But the benefit of the Community Foundation is that you can really be more impactful and more strategic long-term with your charitable giving. So the majority of donors come to us when they're working with their tax professionals like y'all or CPAs or, estate planning attorneys, and they're really looking forward as far as kind of doing some planning around charitable giving. And so they would choose to create a fund when they wanted to support multiple organizations, when they wanted to plan to be able to support charitable organizations that they supported during life after they're gone, when they had kind of a unique tax situation and they needed a larger charitable deduction in one year but wanted to use those dollars charitably, when they wanted to involve their future generations, their children and grandchildren, and kind of pass on family values through charitable giving. So there's a lot of different reasons why someone would come to the Community Foundation.
And I'm thinking part of it would be, instead of giving a lump sum at one time, giving a lump sum to you that you spread out over the lifetime. So talk about that. Talk about, what if I gave you $1 million for a charity, and how could you distribute that over how would that work if you gave like a 4% distribution to that charity instead of a lump sum?
Yeah, so when donors are coming to us and contemplating creating a fund, if they have a non-cash asset, maybe they have some highly appreciated stock that they want to donate and not pay, capital gains tax on, or real estate, or, whatever their assets are, it's usually a larger value gift. And they might have been supporting an individual charity every year for many years, but they might be a little concerned whether or not the charity has the ability to accept a more complex gift like that, or what they would do with a large lump sum when they're used to getting a smaller annual amount from this person. So the benefit of creating a donor advised fund is that the donor can put that money in a charitable fund at the Community Foundation, and then they remain the advisor of it and can choose to, parcel it out over time to one or more organizations that they're interested in supporting. So it really, a charitable fund really gives context to a larger gift and a way to be more strategic and impactful to help support organizations over
long
time.
term.
Yeah.
This is good. So is there a minimum amount that has to be donated to establish a foundation account? Is there a dollar amount that you need, a certain amount?
There's not with us at the Community Foundation. So at the Community Foundation, we have individual charitable funds, and we have about 6 different types that have some distinctions based on IRS guidelines. And so when a prospective donor comes to us, we typically sit down with them and ask them about, what they've supported charitably during their lives, or what their hopes are, what they're trying to accomplish, so that we can recommend the specific fund that is the best fit for them. So we do not have a minimum amount that is required to be put in a charitable fund. We find that sometimes donors are trying to do, a transaction for tax purposes, and it might be a larger one, or right at the end of the year, and they're trying to get it done. But other donors choose to create a fund with a modest amount and add to it each year and use the fund actively and support the organizations that they like, and really kind of get a feel for the foundation and how it could work before maybe they consider a more substantial gift in the future as part of their planning.
So I think you mentioned a business starting a fund. Did you say that?
Yeah.
So talk about that. How does that work?
Well, just like any other donors, there's several businesses, that do charitable giving and support charitable causes from their business. And so some choose to have it through a fund at the Community Foundation, so that over time the business makes the contributions to the fund, and then the fund can be used to support the things that the business wants to support.
So that's a tax benefit to the business, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's very cool. So what if a person wants to give their money to a great cause? How do you match a donor to a foundation account? Because I know you already have foundation accounts, but what if somebody is just, they have this money and they don't really know where they want it to go? How do you help them figure out where the money goes?
Yeah, well, I think that's one of the real benefits of a fund at a community foundation, because a community foundation is local, it's place-based. So here, the Community Foundation of Central Georgia, we serve 21 counties in Central Georgia. So and our donors have access to the staff of the foundation to help them with their charitable giving. So unlike, maybe another platform where they just are sending grants out on their own, they can really come to us and say, I have an interest in this specific area. What are the organizations in my region that are supporting that work? And then we can share with them information, and it kind of helps provide some anonymity for them. They're not necessarily identifying themselves to organizations when they're doing research to figure out what they want to support. But also they might not know some of the great things that are going on right here in this community.
Right.
So one of the things that we publish for our donors is what we call a high five list at the end of each year. And so we ask our local nonprofits in 21 counties to give us tangible items that cost less than $5,000 that they need that would enhance their mission, but that they don't really have the money in their operating budget to support. And we got more than 150 requests this year through that program. And then we share those with our donors who have a fund at the Community Foundation. And they can go down the list, and it's kind of like an Amazon wish list of charitable needs for your specific community. And so then our donors can pick and choose if there's something on the list that they want to support, or if they want to give it as a gift to somebody that they love, that they made a gift in their honor to purchase, some specific item for a charity.
So is this available on your website? Can they see these things?
It's available for our donors who have funds with us right now. There's a possibility that it's something that we could do more broadly, but right now we've been piloting it with our donors. But it's been really impactful, because we find that our donors, while they know what they love and the organizations that they want to support, there's often more needs out there that they're interested in if they just knew they existed.
Oh, this is great. So let me see here. So what about local nonprofits like the Cherry Blossom Festival, Meals on Wheels? I was really interested when I went to the website, because it doesn't have to be something pie in the sky. It could be something that a person just enjoys experiencing. It could be something local that they just like, and they could help fund that.
Yeah. So most of those funds that are set up for specifically to benefit individual nonprofits are organizational endowment funds. And in that case, a nonprofit would create an organizational endowment for their organization, typically with gifts from their donors, and it's invested in the market for growth over time. And the intent is that as that fund grows, that 4% each year can pay out of that fund back to that organization to support their mission, or sometimes a specific initiative of their organization. So we at the Community Foundation have about 50 different organizational endowment funds to benefit organizations like you said, Meals on Wheels, Cherry Blossom, the library, the Girl Scouts. There's a wide range of organizations that are represented, but it's a great place for a donor who just wants to make a contribution to support that specific organization, but also to support the sustainability of that organization over time. We hope that if you're an annual giver to Meals on Wheels every year, that you'll continue to do that, because they need that money to be able to operate and provide those meals and that social interaction for the seniors that they serve. But there's an additional opportunity to really help that organization be poised for sustainability in the future, and these organizational endowment funds are a great way to do that.
So if somebody has $1 million in an IRA and they don't have any beneficiaries, and they want this money to go toward, let's just say, Meals on Wheels, so how would they make the beneficiary to you upon their passing? How would that work?
Yeah, so with retirement accounts, they can set up the Community Foundation as a charitable beneficiary of their account at their death. And typically, if they're going to do that, they would work with us. We would love to have a conversation with them. They don't always, but we would love to, so that we can understand what is their connection to Meals on Wheels or to one of these organizations. Why have they supported it during life? What do they hope that this gift will make for that organization in the future? But the nice part about a fund at the Community Foundation is that you can create one fund with, as a charitable beneficiary of your IRA, and then use it to support multiple organizations. So for people who, have more than one favorite nonprofit, maybe they want it to support their church or their alma mater or a nonprofit that they're involved with or a school, they can set it up to support all of those organizations in perpetuity each year. So it's a great planning tool.
Love. Yeah, I love into perpetuity. That's amazing. So what about donating required minimum distributions? So I have a lot of clients that are having to take these distributions out. They don't need the money, and so they're giving it to different charities. So talk about that, setting that up.
Okay, so required minimum distributions, this has actually become a great charitable giving tool for many donors, especially who've reached the age where they're required to take the required minimum distributions. You know, the IRS keeps increasing slightly the age that is, you know, that you have to take the required minimum distributions, but they passed some legislation called the Charitable Rollover Act. And so what happens is once a donor or an individual is 70 and a half years old, even though the age for RMDs have gone up.
Right, to 73.
Right, they're up to 73. But once they're 70 and a half, they can take up to $100,000 per year per taxpayer from their IRA and then gift it directly to charities, to any 501c3. So this is a great planning tool for them because, like you said, if they don't need the money, if they are required to take the minimum distribution, they'll be taxed on it as income. In this case, they won't, if they make the distribution directly to charity, they won't be taxed on it as income, but they also won't get a tax deduction, but it will kind of bypass their income tax, if you will. So it's a great planning tool. There are some kind of technical parts of the legislation that impact community foundations specifically, and that is that you cannot make a required minimum distribution from your IRA during life to a donor-advised fund, which is one of the 6 fund types at the Community Foundation. I guess the IRS felt like maybe that was too much control. I don't know. But so what you can do is you can do it to any other fund type at the Community Foundation. So you could create an organizational endowment for your favorite organization. You could create a scholarship fund. You could do a field of interest fund or a designated fund. There's lots of options there. But then you can also, like you said, mentioned, you know, make it a beneficiary of your IRA at your death, and that can go into a donor-advised fund. So it can be a little complicated, but it is a really great planning tool for people who are, you know, reaching the age where they're going to be contemplating taking those required minimum distributions.
So do you want people to call you? Or who do you want them to call if they're considering all of this? So tell them about that and tell them about the contact information for you and how they would reach out to you and meet with you.
Sure. My name is Julia Wood, and we're at the Community Foundation of Central Georgia. Our office is based in Macon, but we serve 21 counties. We have a website, which is CF, like foundation, CGA.org, and our phone number is 478-750-9338. And this is really what we do day in and day out, is meet with donors or prospective donors and clients and help them think through, like, what is the best plan for them, even if it isn't something that ends up coming through the Community Foundation. You know, we just want to be able to provide some good planning advice to them.
So you're not going to do a high-pressure sell?
No.
But I've met with clients recently that they have a lot of money and they don't want their children to inherit it because it'll just get blown.
Yeah.
And I'm having these conversations frequently with people who want their money to go toward a cause that they really love and believe in. And so I've been telling them about you, and I don't know if they call you or not, but anyways, what you guys do is just amazing. So give your contact information and the website again.
Sure. Julia Wood, Community Foundation of Central Georgia, cfcga.org, and 478-750-9338.
Well, we love what you do. You're a wonderful person. You guys do such good work.
Thanks.
And we appreciate you coming in on the show today very much.
Yeah.
Thank you for
having
being here.
me.
Yay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Julia. Excellent work. So, yeah, the Community Foundation, please go check out their website and see what they do. Just, if you have money that you want to go to a cause, to be able to set it up so that it dribbles out 4% per year toward a cause, what a wonderful thing, instead of giving a lump sum all at one time. I just love that entire concept.
Fantastic.
So, thank you. Have a
Julia.
great weekend. Great to see you.
All right. That was a great interview, Sherri.
Good.
Last week we had a question from a caller. That's actually 2 weeks ago. A question from a caller. He was commenting about a new requirement for LLCs and small businesses to report cash payments of more than $10,000.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I did some research into it, and the report is, you file it on a Form 8300, and it's a requirement by the U.S. Department of Treasury and the IRS FinCEN, which is the Financial Crimes Enforcement Agency, and that's the organization that really gets into money laundering and trying to cut back on the anything financial that's used to support the drug and the illegal activities. But the transactions requiring a Form 8300 include escrow contributions, debt payments, reimbursement of expenses, making or repaying a loan, and the sale of goods or services, the sale of real estate property, the sale of intangible property, and the sale of real or personal property. And there's some more too. I just kind of cut the list down. The information contained on the form assists law enforcement in its money laundering efforts. Like I said, when businesses comply with the reporting requirements, they provide authorities with an audit trail to investigate possible tax evasion and terrorist financing and other financial bad activities. Businesses must report cash payments received if all the following criteria are met. The first one is the amount of cash received is greater than $10,000. Second is the business receives the cash such as one lump sum of $10,000, installment payments totaling $10,000 or more, and previously unreported payments causing the total cash received within a 12-month period to total more than $10,000. The establishment receives the cash in an ordinary course or trade of a business. The same agent or buyer provides the cash, and businesses receive the cash in a single transaction or in a related transaction. And what that means basically is you can't split up the payments and try to get around. You can't make them below $10,000, which is what the drug traffickers did for the longest time. They would get money orders for $9,999, and the banks did not have to report this as a illegal transaction. Anyway, this requirement does not include payments you might make in a personal check or on the account of their writer, a cashier's check, a bank draft, traveler's checks, or similar. There's a lot to read on this, but the IRS website is actually pretty straightforward on the subject. And if you want to know more, go to the IRS website and search for IRS Form 8300. And I'm actually pretty surprised when I go on the IRS website at how easy these reports they have are to read. It's not written in accounting or legal language. It's written in straight, like you and I would talk about. So it's not bad. So anyway,
very good.
What time is it here?
It's time for the halftime already.
Anyway, that's amazing. Anyway, you've been listening to Randy and Sherri Goss, and we're with the show Your Money, and we are with Rosenberg Financial Group. And if you'd like to call in today to contribute to the show, the number is 478-742-0940. Rosenberg Financial Group has offices in Macon and Warner Robins, and you can learn more about us by visiting our website, retirerelax.com. We offer complimentary consultations, and setting up an appointment is very easy. Just call our office at 478-922-8100. And we offer free seminars to the community, so if you're looking for a guest speaker, please give us a call to discuss what topics you'd like for Sherri to talk about.
I can talk.
Yes, you can.
So companies have an incredible need for cyber skills, says a Google executive, and it pays over $100,000 a year. One of the fastest growing jobs in the U.S. is fighting crime on the Internet. With more companies moving online, cyber attacks are on the rise, and drastically so. The FBI has seen a 300% increase in reported cyber crimes since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. As the threat of cyber attacks grows, so does the demand for cybersecurity experts. In fact, the Bureau of Labor Statistics projects that the number of cybersecurity jobs will grow 32% in the next decade.
I could see that.
Yeah, much faster than the average for other occupations. There are nearly 600,000 unfilled cybersecurity jobs in the U.S. right now, and about 3.5 million open roles globally, according to a recent research from Cybersecurity Ventures.
Right. Cybersecurity is one of the most underrated jobs out there. Many people assume it's a hard field to break into. It's highly specialized, and it's technical. But what they don't realize is that you don't need a bachelor's degree to land a high-paying job in this field. And once you do, the security is very strong. Employers struggle to find people who are comfortable working in cybersecurity, but there is this incredible need and a demand for people with these skills. And it's one of the reasons Google started to grow with the Google Initiative in 2017. The online program provides lessons and certifications for in-demand skills like cybersecurity and data analytics. The cybersecurity certificate can be completed in as little as 3 months and costs just $49.
That's insane.
It is.
I would love to talk to somebody who's been through this.
I would too.
Because it sounds so easy, but I don't know what it's like. I don't know what kind of brain you have to do this.
Well, I've been through some of these classes, and if you can cut on a computer and work in it, they'll teach you the skills that you need to have to go forward.
Could I do this?
Yes, you could.
Really?
Well, hang on. You'll probably crash the internet. I mean, I'm sorry.
So, other colleges and organizations, including Amazon Web Services, Columbia University, and the University of Pennsylvania, offer comparable cybersecurity certificates. Most cybersecurity jobs require at least a high school diploma or GED, as well as the completion of an online boot camp or training. And some of the popular jobs in cybersecurity include security engineers, cybersecurity analysts, and security architects. Cybersecurity professionals should be comfortable assessing risk, troubleshooting problems, monitoring for internal and external threats, and working within an organization's IT infrastructure.
And as a cybersecurity expert, you'll also be working with people in other departments, so it's important to be adaptable and able to effectively communicate and explain your findings to others. When drafting your resume, you need to make sure that these technical and soft skills are on the front page of your resume. As is probably one of the most important steps you can take in your cybersecurity job search.
So cybersecurity professionals are needed across all industries, but there's a particularly urgent need in financial services, healthcare, and government, and a lot of those jobs come with six-figure salaries and the freedom to work from home.
We have a friend that's in the financial services industry, and we were talking to him a couple of weekends ago, and I said, so how is things in your business? He goes, it's just ever evolving. So the nice thing about that, when it's an ever evolving landscape that you're working in, is you go to work every day and you're learning something new. And I mean, even in our office, there's things that we learn new every day. But can you imagine having a job that you're excited to go to because it is something new and you're stopping, really bad guys from doing really bad things to people that you know and love? So I think it's a fantastic career field.
I agree. So the average pay for many cybersecurity jobs exceeds $100,000, according to the BLS. Median salary is $112,000. Median salary for cybersecurity managers, $164,000. I think you'd have to be a higher level to be a manager.
I think it'll take you a few years to get there, but you can.
There are also dozens of remote cybersecurity jobs on the market, some of which pay upwards of $200,000 a year. Ultimately, cybersecurity is an exciting field with a lot of growth opportunities, but the problem right now is that companies just can't fill these jobs fast enough.
And that is so true. So if you know somebody that's
looking for a career,
this is the one that you don't have to have a college degree, and the majority of these guys, they say, are working from home at least the majority of the week.
What a gig.
I mean, geez, right.
For the rest of your life, it's never going to go away.
That's right.
It's only going to get worse.
And this last year, I think it was in one of the articles at the beginning, cyber crimes are up. No, maybe it's coming up in this next one. I'll talk about it in just a second. But there's a ton of different scams going on. And, if you're in the cybersecurity career field, you can help put the end to some of this. But anyway, talking about that, home scam sales ramp up amid the housing market short on inventory. It seems like fraud is just part of our lives, and in many cases you can't believe someone could sell your home or parcel of land without you knowing about it.
That's crazy.
It is, and here's an example of what we're talking about. Recently, a real estate agent from Fieldstone Real Estate Specialist in Minnesota received a phone call, presumably from the owner of the parcel of unimproved land. The caller said that he wanted to sell his vacant land for $75,000 below the market value, and the caller's only request was that the transaction had to be in cash. The realtor found a buyer who was a builder. When the purchase agreement on the property came in, the builder buying the property put a sign, "Build your custom home," he put the sign on the lot. Well, 2 days later, the builder received a phone call from the real property owner telling him to get your sign off my lot and the property is not for sale. As it turns out, the realtor fell victim to a growing type of fraud across the country where scammers trying to sell land they don't own.
That's crazy.
It is.
In 2022, the FBI received 11,000 plus real estate-related complaints with losses of over $396 million, an 86% increase versus 2020 levels.
We've talked about this about a year ago, and I said, I can't buy this. It just doesn't seem that tangible. But the data is proving me wrong.
Yep. Earlier this year, the U.S. Secret Service, in conjunction with Certified Inc., which offers wire fraud protection services, put out an advisory over the sharp increase in reports of real estate fraud associated with vacant and unencumbered properties. And the New York Secret Service office reported that they have seen an increase in property scams and said they believe it will only get worse.
Yeah, right. Adam Taylor, the CEO of Certified, said this in a new crime, that this is a very new crime that's being committed in the United States, and it almost didn't exist in previous years compared to what we've seen this year. Let's see here. The notion of selling someone's property without them knowing about it might seem unthinkable, but it's happening more times than not. Data from Certified ID shows that 77% of real estate professionals surveyed reported seeing an increase in seller impersonation fraud attempts within the last 6 months, with 54% experiencing at least one seller impersonation fraud attempted during that same period. Fraudsters are becoming savvy, using public available records to impersonate the owner of a vacant property to benefit from the sale. The current housing landscape hasn't helped either. As the housing market cools, real estate agents are more vulnerable and desperate for a potential deal as the inventory of homes to sell remains historically low. Think about it. If you're a real estate agent who has been doing 10 to 20 deals a month, and now you're doing maybe one, and somebody shows up and says, "Hey, I want to sell my vacant land," the realtor he thinks that's great news. They haven't had a payday in quite a while, so.
Scammers are getting away with minimal paperwork to prove they actually own the property and are able to conduct transactions via phone and email using fake IDs to impersonate owners. Scammers are going to do everything in the world to try to make you think you're talking to the right person or you're communicating with the right person, and those tactics are going to get harder and harder to detect.
Yeah.
And we have a phone call.
All right, we'll stop right there. Good morning. You're on the air with Randy and Sherri. Welcome to Your Money.
Good morning. How my favorite two people doing this morning?
Well, good, Robin. You're a little late calling in.
Yeah, this is Robin Jackson. I was just kind of listening to y'all because it was very interesting what you are talking about as far as with these non-profit that you donated. Yes. And of course, like I said, if anybody ever forget, don't know what to donate to, of course, our church would be very glad to have donations. All right. That's Newberry Missionary Baptist Church of Macon anyway. I want to tell you about it. But I just called to tell you that it is very important because the people who are on Medicare, December the 7th, which is this coming Friday, it's the last day to enroll. It is very, very important. A lot of people don't realize that these A and B you already get with the Medicare, but C and D you have to enroll. And December the 7th, the last day to enroll. And some of those companies give free food as far as give you about $100 and some dollars per month, and you can roll that over. And of course, this would be, and you need transportation to a doctor, they would provide that too. So December the 7th is the last day for those who are trying to get C and D on your Medicare. So please remind. What now?
Thank you.
Oh, okay then. And then I want to just leave happy. I hope that you had a happy holiday too there. So.
Well, you too, Ron.
And one other thing too is very important there, and then I'm gonna let you go. Perry High gonna go to the football championship game.
Oh, really?
So, and we'll just talk to y'all later on there.
Thanks, Robin. Have a great weekend.
Great day. Thank you.
You too. Excellent.
All right.
So it's more difficult to spot a scam if the property is vacant, which is the type of property many of these fraudsters are targeting. National Association of Realtors, in an interview with Yahoo Finance, said the focus of the scam is vacant parcels and unoccupied properties. So if you have a property that is just hanging out there that you're not paying attention to, you need to start paying attention to it. So what would you suggest, Randy, if somebody has a parcel?
I went down the rabbit hole this last week because once I read the data that I'm seeing on different sources, about the level of fraud, I said, well, what can protect me?
Yeah.
And I looked up, there's things you see like title lock. And just so you know, title lock, there's title insurance. When you buy a piece of property, it's advised to put title insurance on there, and that would be the first thing.
Okay.
Now you have to understand there's a difference between, say, title insurance and then the lender's mortgage, or the lender's mortgage protection insurance, because the lender's mortgage protection insurance only protects the bank. Okay, the title insurance protects your property and even provides money for lawyers, attorneys to help you get the property back or defend your property. But there's other things like you see these commercials for, like, say, Title Lock. Title Lock is really just a monitoring service. It doesn't stop anybody from assuming the ownership of your property. So if you're going to look into getting protection, you need to make sure of what they're covering, because I went down the rabbit hole and I did sign up for a service this past week, and it was like the number one service across CNBC, Dave Ramsey, and everyone was talking really good about this company. And I called the company and asked them, does this actually protect my property from being sold? And they said, well, what we do, and they explained everything, and it's much higher level than what, say, Title Lock does. And so I felt comfortable with it, but it also provides, all the protections for our investment accounts, bank accounts, personal identity fraud, and it seemed like a very good company. So I just went down that rabbit hole, and I did purchase it. And the nice thing about it is it allowed me to invite, like, I think 8 other members, like immediate family members. So I invited our son.
Me?
You, that's right. You, our son and daughter-in-law, and our daughter, and my mom. And so we added a bunch of people to it, and all that was at no extra cost. So, as you're looking, if you're interested in this kind of stuff, just look up. And call me, and or send me an email, and I'll be happy to tell you what I search for, and then you can make your own decision about which company. I'm not going to advertise which company that I went with. I don't want, because if something goes wrong with it, I don't want you to think, well, you told me so. But the one I did choose covered a lot of stuff. Now, one of the interesting things is this. If you have an LLC or a business that has a piece of property in it, it's not going to cover that property. It has to be your primary residence. Mm-hmm. And so, those are the kind of questions you want to ask whatever service it is that you purchase. You want to make sure you know exactly what you're getting for your money. So,
Very good.
But it turns out this scam is gaining a lot of traction, because there's a ton of stuff between your Facebook accounts and every other social media account, as well as being able to go on to the tax records at any municipality and look up everything you want to know, or the recent sales, the current tax valuation, your full name. There's a lot of things that's on the tax records that you want to make sure that. So you're going to want to make sure that you protect your property, because think about somebody getting scammed and their bank account being hacked. That's one thing, but trying to get a piece of property back after it's been sold to a third party and the scammer is completely gone,
I can't imagine what that's like.
I cannot imagine that, and I imagine there's a lot of legal bills that go along with that. So if you get the right protection, it can at least help you with that. So anyway.
So I see a lot of people who've inherited property from parents, and it's in the middle of nowhere, and they're just sitting on it.
That's right.
Or like 11 people inherit 10 acres of land.
That's right.
And they can't agree on selling it or using it or what, because it's in the middle of nowhere.
That's right.
So they probably are targeting stuff like that.
That's exactly what they want. Is they want land that's unoccupied, or houses that are not occupied at that point. And like us, we have a lot downtown Macon that's just vacant. And I received a letter the other day that says, hey, you want to sell this? I'll pay you this much money for it. So I just threw it in the garbage. But then I got to reading all this other stuff. So if they send me a letter and I don't reply to them, or it could show them that no one's really watching it, and that could be a prime target for them. So, but just remember, though, if it's like that property we have downtown, it's in an LLC for the different properties that we own. It does not protect that property if you get these identification things that I was talking about, the service that I bought.
Interesting.
So,
the whole thing is very interesting.
Yep,
the criminals are getting smarter every day.
Yep, they treat it like a Fortune 500 company. These agencies, these scammers, they have complete staffs of people to write the scripts, people to get on the phones or send the emails out. I mean, it's just crazy. They go to third world countries and they get people who are basically looking for a decent job, and they pay them well, and they don't mind sitting there and helping be part of the problem. So
wow. Anywho, Wall Street's ESG craze is fading, and I have a lot of clients that don't like this at all, and so this is good news. The about face comes after tightening regulatory oversight, higher interest rates that have slammed clean energy stocks, and a backlash that has made environmental, social, and corporate governance investing a political target.
Yeah, and according to Morningstar, the third quarter was the first time that more sustainable funds were liquidated or removed the ESG criteria from their investment practices that were added.
Good morning. You're on the radio with Randy and Sherri.
Good morning, 23rd cousin again.
Hey, man.
Hey, how are you?
Would you? I'm blessed. Would you repeat that? Not for an endorsement, but that other company besides Title Lock. I need to pass it on to some people.
Well, I wasn't going to send it out over the air because I want everyone to do their own. But I will be happy to send it to you. You want to email me, and I will send it to you.
What's your email?
Randy@rfmoney.com.
Randy@rsmoney.
No, RF, like Romeo Frank, like Rosenberg Financial.
Okay, Rosenberg.money.
Yes.
No, Randy@rfmoney.com. .com, no dot.
.com. Okay, I'll send it to you. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
And listen, did you all do a follow-up on those forums for January the 1st?
Oh, you tuned in late. Yes, we did.
I tuned in late. Okay.
And what it was is basically that Form 8300 is for LLCs, and what it is coming out through the in conjunction with FinCEN, the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, and so they're just trying to track down money laundering and stuff like that. That's what it's all about.
They've got an excuse, don't they?
So we'll send it.
For tightening the reins on the John Q. Public. Yeah.
So you should send him that article back when he emails you.
I will.
Yeah. He'll send you the article.
Thank you very much.
All right. Talk to you later.
Y'all have a blessed day and a blessed holiday season.
Thank you. You too.
A holy day season, I call it.
Yeah. There you go. Yep.
Awesome.
Y'all have a blessed day. Thank you.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Anyway, according to Morningstar, the third quarter was the first time more sustainable funds were liquidated or removed from the ESG criteria than were added. This is a reversal from the not long ago when companies were rebranding their faltering funds to cash in on the billions of dollars flowing into sustainable investment products. For example, in 2021, Hartford Funds inserted sustainable into the name of its core bond products and subsequently saw investors pour $100 million into it, and nothing else changed in the fund other than the name.
That's crazy.
But after missing their performance targets last year, they're now switching gears again.
Right, and the new fund name will be known as the Core Fixed Income Fund and potentially sell some of the holdings that made it sustainable when it pivots to a conventional investment strategy. These retreats come after investors withdrew more than $14 billion from sustainable funds this year. Conventional funds also lost money, but the pain was more acute for climate and other thematic products hit by high interest rates and other factors.
Right. Political pressures could be factoring into the changes as well. Republican presidential candidate Ramaswamy has been a vocal critic of ESG. And last year, Florida said it was pulling $2 billion of its assets managed by BlackRock in part due to the company's support of ESG. And meanwhile, the Securities and Exchange Commission is stepping up oversight of the space and recently adopted a rule to prevent misleading naming conventions. Funds have roughly 2 to 3 years to comply with, depending on their size.
So Deutsche Bank's investment arm, DWS Investment Management Americas, agreed to pay $19 million to settle an investigation into alleged greenwashing by the firm for overstating how the company factored ESG data into investment decisions. At the end of the month, DWS will liquidate a mutual fund the company rebranded as ESG in 2019. Now circling back to the closure of a fund. What happens if you're in a fund that closes? I'm not talking about one that a value went went to zero. I'm talking about these funds that are just closing because they are not profitable or did not have the enthusiasm over the fund, did not attract enough money, to name a few reasons.
Yeah, according to the Securities and Exchange Commission website, fund liquidations may occur for a variety of reasons, including poor performance, a decline in assets under management, lack of investor interest, and more. During a liquidation, all funds are distributed to the shareholders. The requirements for liquidating a particular fund generally depend on the state, corporate, or trust law on the fund's charter documents, or both. To liquidate, most funds will require a vote by the board of directors or the trustees, and in some cases, a vote by the fund's shareholders will also be necessary. But shareholders may not have a say in the final decision to liquidate. The bottom line is that on the stated liquidation date, if you still own shares, you will receive the share of the proceeds from the fund remaining in the assets in the program. They will probably be mailed or electronically deposited into your funding account. So anyway, at least you're not going to lose your money when they just decide to close it.
You just get it back.
Yep.
So this is just a fun thing. So the new Rolling Stones tour will be brought to you by AARP. I think this is just hilarious. The Rolling Stones, those older rock stars who seemingly never stop, announced a new North American tour Tuesday, sponsored by AARP. The Stones will launch their 16-city tour in Houston on April 28th. Tickets went on sale to the public on December 1. Formerly, the American Association of Retired Persons, AARP, is known, in the organization's words, for empowering people 50 and older to choose how they live as they age. The Rolling Stones, led by 80-year-old Mick Jagger.
Right.
That makes me feel really old. 80 years old, first toured in the United States.
Well, hey, when we were at the last conference, the Steve Miller Band played, and he was 85.
Yes.
And he was up there jamming and rocking like he was 20.
I know. So they
of course, he did start a lot earlier in the night.
Yeah, it was like 6 o'clock. I think they went to bed at 8:30.
8:30.
The Stones, Mick Jagger, first toured in the United States in 1964 and had their last tour in 2021. The new tour will promote the Rolling Stones' first original album in 18 years, Hackney Diamonds, the title of which is taken from British slang for broken glass, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I just think it's hilarious.
I think it is.
We're living so much longer. It's just crazy.
Well, let's up the ante a little bit. Dolly Parton played both rock star and Dallas Cowboys cheerleader this Thanksgiving as part of the halftime performance during the holiday matchup between the Cowboys and the Washington Commanders. The 77-year-old donned the Texas team's iconic cheerleader outfit, and she looked great in it.
You should see the picture of her. Her belly is flat and exposed. She is in the cheerleader outfit, and you would think she's 20.
Yep. If you didn't know who was wearing it, you might think she was one of the cheerleaders. Anyway, Parton started the show with her 1993 hit Jolene and another top performer, 9 to 5, which was accompanied by the performance from the Cowboy cheerleaders. The halftime concert comes less than a week after Parton released her first rock album, Rockstar, and that's going to debut on November 17th after solidifying herself as a world-renowned country singer for over 50 years.
So where are we going with all this? Well, data shows that you may live longer than you think. Lifespans have increased steadily in the U.S. over the past few decades. In 1960, it was 70 years, but by 2020, it was 77 years. So the odds of reaching 90 are now higher than you may think. On top of this, you have inflation. If you need $50,000 to cover your living expenses now, you'll need about $90,000 in 20 years, so your money needs to grow as you age. The current problem has been the market, which is still down from the high in December 1st of 2021, but it appears to be coming back. Have you moved all of your money into a fixed, guaranteed low rate of return? Will that money grow enough for you to live a long life? Did you go to cash last year and you're still sitting outside of the market? Get with your financial advisor and make a plan for living longer. And if you don't have one, we would love to provide you with a complimentary consultation. You get a one-on-one meeting with me or Jonathan, both accomplished certified financial planners. This is a big deal.
It is a big deal.
So I met with people just this week that think they're going to die at 75. they're planning to die at 75. And I'm like, stop it. You have no idea when you're going to die. You could live to 90. Look at these examples of these people. Mick Jagger was not the healthiest dude on the planet. They were drinking and smoking pot and doing all sorts of crazy crap. It's amazing he's not dead.
That's absolutely true.
How is he even still alive after living the hard life he lived? And he doesn't even look that bad. He's skinny.
Mick Jagger, have you seen him?
Yes. He's a skinny old guy that just still has the voice and the energy and all of that. I don't understand how he is that with the hardcore life that he lived, because I followed him a lot. But anyways, so don't plan on dying early. Plan on living longer. And you need to close the show out, don't you?
No, I'm telling you, you got about another minute.
Oh.
Okay.
Huh?
How much time we got left there?
Minute and 50.
Okay, well, we will go ahead and close it out. Anyway, that was a good conversation, so don't plan on dying.
Don't plan on
anytime
dying.
soon, at least. Anyway, thanks for listening to Your Money, produced by Rosenberg Financial Group. As financial advisors, the main thing we do is provide retirement planning advice and manage our clients' investment accounts. And if you're looking for a financial advisor, please contact our office to set up a complimentary consultation. Our office number is 478-922-8100, and you can learn more about us by visiting our website, retirerelax.com. And if you have questions or a topic you'd like for us to cover in next week's broadcast, email me at randy@rfmoney.com. And we look forward to connecting with you next week. Have a great weekend, everyone.